Hi, my name is Octavio Quintanilla. I am going to be reading a few poems from my most recent poetry collection titled The Book of Wounded Sparrows, published in 2024 by Texas Review Press. Before I read, I want to give you a little bit of context on the book. It's a book comprised of lyric, narrative poetry, with about 25 visual poems that I call frontextos. And a frontexto is just a combination of two words, frontera and texto, which basically mean border and text. I am from South Texas, so I think there are some references to place in the book, but also just the sensibility, I think, is connected to this area. The book is overall an exploration of family separation and geographic and emotional dislocation. This book takes you on a journey, and it gives you a glimpse of what it means to be 9 years old and be separated from your parents. Your parents, in my case, my parents stayed in Mexico, and my little brother and I came to live in the United States to attend school, and our siblings and parents stayed behind. So this book, in many ways, has to do with that experience of separation and loss. Loss in the sense that once we came over here, a lot of things that we used to do and that um, made us who we are stayed behind on the other side of the river. For example, the language itself, uh, and our families and our friends and the playgrounds and just everything that made up our life stayed behind. So with that context, I want to read a few poems. This first poem is called Parting. Parting. There was a time I had no word for darkness, and so I said darkness. I had no word to say devotion, and so I said two sons grieving one mother. A time came when our parents sat under a tree and sobbed for us, their sons on their way to a new country. When I try to return to my boyhood, sometimes I end up a grown man with my head on my mother's lap. This next poem is called Loneliness. As a boy, I would climb trees, reach into nests birds would leave unattended. I would fill my hand with small eggs, and often one or two hatchlings would stare at me from behind the sprigs. There were times I wanted to take them home, keep them as my own, raise them. Imagine their beaks one day opening to call me Father. Here's the poem that opens the book. It's called Vanishing Point. In a handwritten letter you appear, offering an answer like fog. I forget the question, but it must have looked like a skinny child abandoned by God. Yes, God, the one with a capital G, the one who squints at us from his great bright heaven and nursed the word abandonment into the monster it is. I am old enough not to test your emotions. I might even be by now nothing more than a casket in my own children's memory. What does it matter? I have made it this far, and still there's nothing that can heal this rift between myself and this boy I have crisscrossed like uncharted territory. I have talked to him, but who knows if he hears what I say, or if he reads what I write. He's always a boy when I summon, and I look down so I can see him, and he looks up so he can see me, and there is nothing to help us touch. This poem is called New God. Yesterday I wanted to buy myself a new God, one who never tires of forgiving me, one who rejoices when I turn my back on him. Half asleep, I imagine I hammer the cross of the ocean with the nails of my footsteps. Yes, I walk on water, and in the distance I make out the light of your station. Here we meet underneath the North Star, and I tell you I want to buy a new God, one with the courage to break my fate in two, one whose hand will guide mine to your heart, so the history of all your loves can be revealed. Yesterday, as I invented a new God, I thought of all the years I claimed I would surrender not to be here, contemplated all the goodness I have lost. This poem is called Love of My Life. Tonight, you are not my lover. Tonight, I am not your husband. How hard can it be to enter my bed as my mother? I'm a newborn, feed me. I'm the abandoned lamb, the weak hatchling, the branch broken in two to beat a spoiled child. I am all memory. Be a mother and sing me to sleep. Baby, talk into my heart's ear. Run your hand over my head. You, milk at the corner of my mouth.